Welcome to the September 11th, 2016 guitar blog episode on jazz guitar and doing easy chord melody work. Well, you know, jazz chord melody is a very cool sound, there's no doubt about that. And, you know, it's one of those sounds that instantly catches the ear of pretty much anyone who enjoys guitar playing with a more sophisticated jazzy direction. And the rich seventh chords and extensions we have in this style, plus the use of any diminished or maybe altered chords, you mix them all together against some simple melody lines and it makes for some really great guitar playing. So in this lesson, we're going to make a study of a number of easy techniques that you can start using in the early days of learning how to do this. And I'm telling you, these ones are going to be so straightforward, you're going to be able to do them right away to be able to create some nice jazzy chord melody guitar parts. We'll be using seventh chord voicings against some simple melody patterns, and once we're done, you're going to have the basics here to start carrying on into more complex jazz guitar chord melody ideas on your own. So let's zoom in on the neck and get started. Well, when you're creating your first chord melody lines, you'll want to keep it all really simple. So in example 1, we're going to begin with an easy two-part chord melody concept. In example 1A, we're going to just take a very simple composition that I put together of a single note melody line. It sounds like this. It goes... It's very simple sounding. And then what I've done is I've taken the chord off of that line. It's in D major, so we're just thinking D major scale anyway. And on the root of the D major scale, we do have access to the D major 7 chord. So I'm going to take that chord and I'm going to play it and then add in part of the line. I can blend over to that high note there, or I could play it as a single tone idea like this. That works too. Then I'm going to come back around to the D major 7 once again, but I'm going to do something kind of interesting on the last note. Remember, it finishes off on this E here at the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to play a D major 7 with the 9th on the top there. I've got that high E. So the 2nd degree of the scale, up an octave, so 9th, and I'm putting it up there. And it's going to add it up on the top there. It sounds really nice. So I'm doing, the line is all there, and I'm doing it just with chords and with one filler run. Because hear what a difference it makes. And you know, you can keep experimenting with, you know, these things because you could do more chords. You know, if you didn't really quite like the sound, maybe of that D major 7 with that, it's actually a suspension up there because the chord now has no major 3rd anymore. But basically, you know, you could do something a bit different. Maybe I could set it up where I could put the major 3rd in and I could have a D major 9. It's kind of an interesting sound. That keeps that E up top there, so it's kind of neat. So it's kind of, you know, there's lots of directions that you can take with this, and you can even experiment with different chord types and, you know, really go over the top if you wanted to, maybe try some diminished. Depends on where you're headed next, because diminished is really unstable, and you may want to test and operate a few things before you're going to head to your next part of your melody to realize if you really want to use the diminished or not. But, you know, the more that you know in terms of chords and in terms of voicings and patterns on the neck, the better you're going to get at doing this stuff. But you know what? Start simple. This is just a really simple melody line I have here. And I'm just kind of filling things up around it with, you know, some of the basic D major sounds. So this is the first experiment, is integrating a simple melodic line around maybe just a single chord type, single, you know, chord quality, and seeing what you can do with it, you know, like I have done here. So mess around with that at first. Let's take a short break and come back in a moment, and we're going to integrate a little bit more complex melody with multiple chords. And, you know, before that, I also want to introduce one of the products at Creative Guitar Studio to you. So you can get a chance to check out some of the stuff that we have on the store over at creativeguitarstudio.com. So let's do that next. The Music Reading Phase 1 ebook has over 30 pages of comprehensive project lessons covering the entire fifth reading position on the guitar. Music reading charts and drills will work to help students memorize the positions of all the fifth position notes, including important sharp and flat tones. Several original and classic pieces of sheet music will help students to gain a solid understanding for this region of the neck. Rhythm studies, duration examples, plus song and location drills, along with 19 MP3 audio tracks, makes this one of the best music reading courses available. Music Reading Phase 1 is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a more complex melody, something that gets a little busier, then we're going to apply a small group of chord changes around it. Now, you want to keep in mind, too, that when you're associating chords in and around a melody line, standard diatonic harmony ideas may not always fit. They might not work properly. You might need to alter a chord quality from major to minor, maybe add an extension, perhaps even throw in a diminished chord or something. And you just have to sometimes require other chords outside of the key to help build the correct sound. This is why when you're doing this kind of work, you know, the more chords that you understand on the fingerboard, the better you're going to be at doing it. So let's start off by taking a look at example number 2A, and this is the melody line that's be the simple melody we're starting with here. It's another D major melody. It goes like this. So it's a very simple melody line, and it's all just D major scale. Right, the top three strings of the guitar. What we're going to do to build on that is we're going to take a D major 7 chord to start things off with, because our F sharp is right up top there, so we're just going to use that major third and the D major 7 chord. We'll tag that high A, and then we're going to move down to a B minor 7. That's the 6th chord of the key. We're just going to play a portion of it too. We're only using 6th string, and then 4th and then 3rd. Just those notes. Then we're going to move back a bit, and we're going to play kind of a different sounding chord idea here. It's going to be an A major 7. So that's not in the key. That's a little bit outside of the key there. We're going to bounce off of that a little bit, and then move into an F sharp tone. And what's going to happen there is we're going to get a little bit of outside color going on with an F sharp diminished 7th. So right away, you know, we've got some things going on here that don't jive with the key of D major, because there's no A major 7 in that key, and there's also no F sharp diminished 7th in that key either. So we're using some fancy substitutions here and just kind of leaving the key briefly just to spice things up. We are going to come along into the 2 chord of the key though with that E minor, and it's going to be a different E minor though. Going to have a high F sharp put in there because we want to track that melody line. Remember, the melody is going in the final part of the second measure like this. So the top note there, the high A, we're using that as the top of the F sharp diminished 7th chord. We're going to jump over, get the G by itself, and then for the E minor, we're going to change it and make it an E minor 9. And then drop down to that final tone. So we've got some really nice sound. I mean, that's really jazzing it up. You can't argue with that sound. Sounds very hip. I'll play that melody, you know, with the chord melody ideas, nice and slow for you. It goes like so. There's that B minor 7. The outside sound of the A major 7. Walking in. Minor 9. So the A major 7 kind of drifts us a bit out. We're coming closer in now with that diminished. It's kind of unstable though. And then we're going to walk down, grab the 8th fret G, and then we have our E minor 9 with that F sharp in it, and then we're wrapping up into the E again. So all in all, we have taken, you know, the bulk of what's happening with that melody. So So that's definitely there. You can hear it clear as a bell. Just things are going to change a little bit when we get to the second part of that melody. So we have altered the melody a little bit. You can tell we're in the first half of that second measure, we've kind of monkeyed around with it a little bit. Now, I give more of freedom to that when my melody ideas are on the lower string set. So if I got a melody that's using some tones off of, let's say, 4th string, 3rd string, I'm going to be a little bit more liberal with those notes. I'm going to mess with them sometimes a little bit just to fit in some interesting chord harmony concepts. Where you really have a little bit more limited space to monkey around with things like that is when you have melodies that are up high, because the ear, really targets in and hears very strongly to those high tones in chords, those highest voicings in a chord. The listener really gravitates toward them when they're listening to the ideas. So keep that in mind when you're composing your own chord melodies. That's a very important concept. So once again, here it is, example number 2B. Nice, yeah, it has a nice connection to it. All right, so that's example number 2. If you're interested in learning faster, making better use of your time, and practicing longer, the Accelerating Your Learning Curve ebook is for you. There's over 60 pages of information on how to take control of both the way you learn and the time that you devote to your practicing. Accelerating Your Learning Curve is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com. Well, thanks for watching part 1 of the lesson. Be sure to sign up for a membership at creativeguitarstudio.com to watch part 2, where we'll study how you can create these chord melodies by doing different kinds of associations between the chords and the melody lines. This is going to be really important because in part 2, I'm going to give you the basics of how this all really works, and you can do it on your own. Plus, as a member, you'll also be able to download the handout for this lesson plan, which is fantastic because it has all the examples, written explanations, and all the tabs there so you know exactly how to perform each of the examples. So I'll catch up with you next in the members area at creativeguitarstudio.com. Thanks for watching. Click here to subscribe to the Guitar Blog Update YouTube channel and never miss another video. Click here to sign up for your free membership to creativeguitarstudio.com. And if you take out a paid membership, you'll get premium content downloads of jam tracks, lesson handouts, and full access to all the members area video lessons.